We're back, people, and today we're breaking down film on Jack Stoll, newest Miami Dolphins tight end. They just claimed him from the Eagles. Waived David Long, which shows I feel like they're being pretty serious, holding players accountable. And honestly, I actually think this is a pretty solid pickup for the Dolphins. He's a good run-blocking tight end. Another guy that I could see getting playing time. Usually when you're getting these claims late in the season, I'm not expecting too much out of them. And but I do think, Stoll, he plays some special teams. He can block in multiple different ways. He sees playing time for Philadelphia this season. He really only got cut because it's like a numbers game in Philadelphia. They were getting back Jordan Mailata, their left tackle, off IR. And I think, the reason they wanted to, let him go is they were going to bring him back. But Dolphins took the risk and put on the Eagles, took that risk, and the Dolphins claimed him. So now they're getting a player. And I really think this is just putting the tight ends group on notice, specifically Durham Smythe and Julian Hill, because I actually think Jack Stoll kind of gives me Durham Smythe vibes. He's just younger and cheaper. So I think if they don't step up, because they've been struggling as those inline blocking tight ends, those blocking on the move, and I thought Stoll's best reps came when he got to block on the move. It's just specifically getting out horizontally. I just don't think he got to do that as much in Philadelphia. So that's his biggest strength. That is something the Dolphins do a ton of. I think that could help out. He's taking over Tanner Conner's spot, basically, because Conner went to IR. So it will be interesting to see how that ends up playing out for the Dolphins. I think it really could go either way, because Jonnu has that moved receiving tight end spot on lock. But now you have three tight ends who kind of all have a similar skill set to play. And I wouldn't be surprised if Jack Stoll sees some playing time, especially if Julian Hill and Durham Smythe continue to kind of go down that path and struggle. So let's break some of this down. Here we got Stoll in line. He can play as an inline. He can play as a guy off the ball, move a little bit for you. Definitely versatile for Philadelphia. Eagles fans seemed disappointed when they didn't get him back. They actually wanted to cut someone else and play that number game. But here we get some pin pull stuff. So we get to see him work out in space on the move, which I think is the most important thing. Looks pretty comfortable here. Takes good angles. He's under control. I think that's the biggest difference between him and Julian Hill is Hill will be a little more explosive at the contact point because he's powerful, but I think he can play a little bit too out of control at times, and that will lead to the penalties or to some whiffs. I think Stoll will not blow too many people up, but he'll have more controlled plays and get hands-on, get a body on a guy. Here, getting a good block on a DB. He'll definitely be able to block some DBs, linebackers, and then even there's some reps of him blocking some DNs, but that's a good rep out in space. Something that you definitely want to see. Here he is versus, looks like a pretty nice sized linebacker right there. And it's just him getting out horizontally, Eagles running some inside zone. But it's nice to see him get out of his stance. Nice, pretty, good first step here. Looks pretty explosive. Get hands on, gets hands into the chest. Able to reset right there too. And now he's just got leg drive. Pushes this guy and then sticks with it all the way down the field. Gets a little bit of a drive going with it right there. 87 on the Eagles. Just some good things to like. I like the claims the past 2 days. I haven't done too many videos on the guys the Dolphins have claimed in a while. But I like Tyrell Dodson and Jack Stoll. I actually could see them. Dodson is definitely going to see time. He'll definitely play a lot of special teams. And then he's going to be your third linebacker for sure now with David Long getting cut. And then Stoll, I think, will be on the roster, play special teams, and see a handful of snaps a game, and potentially even more if the other guys don't step up. But he does some good stuff here. He's working the double team with the left tackle, attack the low hip, which helps move space there. So he attacks the low hip, and then boom, get up to the second level on the linebacker, get a body on him, and then Saquon's able to work off the back of that. Unfortunately, this unblocked edge defender makes a good play. But overall, Stoll doing a pretty good job on that play. Feel like he showed some pretty good consistency. You can have him block on the move as when they run split zone. You can be your sift guy. He can go out there, throw his body in there, cut block. He does a pretty good job in these situations, at least getting body on. This time it's a DB, but I've seen him do it versus edges, that type of thing. So lots to like there, I think, from Jack Stoll. Okay, here we got Stoll. Another rep here, this time where he's on the play side of a run. This is the stuff you want to see. Some outside zone. Eagles run way less outside zone than the Dolphins. I feel like he can run as this is something the Dolphins need pretty badly here. This is a weird rep just based on how the Saints are aligned. But the Dolphins need someone who can play as a play side tight end on outside zone, because especially on the right side, because with no Austin Jackson, Kendall Lamb needs more help as a right tackle in the run game. So they need tight ends that are able to go out there and get the job done, because I think that will help the run game, because the run game kind of took a hit versus the Rams with no Jackson and no Ingold out there. So Jack Stoll, I think, could help that out a little bit. He's not like he's not going to give you much as a receiver. I'll show some of the receiving stuff. He'll catch the ball. I think he has reliable hands, but he's not much of a route runner. He had like one rep where I was impressed with his route running. But I think he could probably do a little more as a receiver than Julian Hill. Probably the same amount as Durham Smythe. But then nice to see him get out there. I would like to see a rep where maybe there's an edge defender and they have to double team and then climb and cut off like a linebacker. Here he's just more kicking out a DB who's out in space, which is a good rep there. He's going to get his body in the correct way. So we'll need to see more of that potentially. But I do think like overall, I would say he's like a slightly, he's definitely a little bit above average as a blocker, kind of in that Durham Smythe range, I think. But Smythe has kind of just struggled this season. Here he is on the backside, just one-on-one versus Brian Burns. Gets more of that kick out type of thing. The run isn't going anywhere near him, but a pretty good rep just one-on-one when you see him versus an edge there. Like good hand placement, good leg drive, stays patient, kind of squares him up, and he sustains it and ends up driving Burns many yards down the field. Like pretty good rep. This was Stoll's best route running rep, where he just he attacks outside leverage, move the Stevie, just good job, and then able to stick that foot in the ground, stab, boom, change direction back upfield. Ball doesn't go to his direction, but really his last successful receiving plays, most successful, were a few years ago, in the 2021 or 2022 season. Can't remember, but hasn't been involved too much in that respect. But he still sees a decent amount of playing time for Philadelphia. He would play in most games and be used in 12 personnel with him and Grant Calera, especially when they had no Dallas Goedert. But here, good job working this double team on 93, a defensive lineman. He attacks that low hip again, able to, then basically get him one-on-one, keep driving him down, leg drive. This is he's displacing 93 right there. That's a good rep. And this is something you would see, Dolphins would run something similar with a fullback. It would be maybe mostly a toss, but there would be a wind back option where this guy winds back, kicks out, or leads up into it, and your tight end has to down block. And that's a good rep there from Stoll. So I like what he does in those areas where he gets to down block, work a double team. And I like him when he gets to move laterally out in space. This is another rep that I think is good film for the Dolphins, is when he goes up. Gives a little bit of a hesitation on the DN. The Dolphins do this type of stuff. He shows versatility. I think he's a pretty smart player. They had good from what I've saw on the internet, most people had good things to say about Stoll. So they give a little hesitation on the DN. This is something the Dolphins do, hesitation. Then get out in space laterally, block the DB out there. Good rep. He looks very comfortable on space, which I think is the big part. Seems like solid athleticism, doesn't panic, takes good angles, gets engaged, and just, this guy's going to attack your outside half. Now you just drive him to the outside, allow your running back to work off of you. Those are just good reps, I think, from Stoll. Here he gets to block a linebacker. He gets to be inserted behind the left tackle, block the linebacker, puts JOK on the ground. Just a lot of, solid reps versus the run. Didn't really stand out to me at all as a pass catcher, but he'll block out in space for you, be that one-on-one guy. Can be the lead block on these zone read stuff that the Eagles like to do. Block a DB, do some good work on screens potentially for the Dolphins, that type of thing. But just good work when he had to work these types of blocks on a linebacker, head up on him, and just get him to the ground, strain, that type of thing. So overall, feel solid about this one. He's usually, with these claims that happen, I just don't usually I'm oh, he might make a special teams impact, or he might play very little and then not play again. These last two, I could see Dotson and Stoll both some carving out a role potentially, just due to the nature of the position they're joining at, and they were still seeing playing time for their respective teams in the season, and they weren't cut just because of bad performance. They were cut for different reasons. They were Stoll was cut just due to a numbers thing, and they were planning to bring him back. And then Dotson was cut because they really just wanted to play a rookie, and they felt the Seattle just felt like their season was over. But Stoll has some decent blocking reps. He's not an elite blocker or anything, But he's going to go out there, give it his all. Here he is versus Chase Young out there, straining, getting hands into chest. They're running RPO in that situation. Uh, like seeing him get out laterally, even if he doesn't like win the rep necessarily. Like here's an outside zone rep where he's on the outside with the right tackle. This guy's playing hard outside leverage. It's nice to see him at least getting aggressive with his hands and is at least able to widen him a decent amount. Not able to sustain it super long, but I think there's some potential there for that type of thing. This is like one of the catches he had. Seemed pretty comfortable as a hands catcher from what I saw. I think, with some of the other players like Smythe, he's had struggles with drop this season. Julian Hill, I feel like he's going to fumble the ball every time he gets it. So maybe Stoll being an underneath option isn't the worst thing. And then here he's just showing like good smart, like they're running mesh underneath, and he just does a good job like working mesh. Devontae Smith has this guy beat, but Stoll kind of just gives him a little bit of a hesitation here, slows down 0, and then avoids him, so he doesn't get the pick play call, but he slows him down, and then Devontae Smith scores a touchdown on that play. Just showing like smart, good football play. And then here he is cutting off 41, Josh Hines Allen, who's a good player, gets his hips across, something you got to be able to do. Shows good hand placement for the Dolphins specifically. You got to be able to get your hips in the correct position, reach block. But yeah, I think overall, like I was like, okay, he's actually not a terrible player. He's like he's a guy that's like an NFL level tight end roster, like your third tight end player. He just ended up being like the odd guy out in Philadelphia. That way they were trying to literally bring back, but numbers didn't make it work. They've done that with him before, where like they waive him, bring him back either to the practice squad or the main roster in the coming days, and he's playing in the next game. It's just Dolphins end up kind of getting that, and we'll see how it ends up working out for them. I think just due to the tight end room, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up stealing some playing time from either Smythe or Julian Hill if they continue not to play at a better rate, because the tight end room outside of Jonnu Smith has not been good this season at all. And then Jonnu's not going to give you too much as a blocker, so now you have 3 blocking tight ends that are going to be fighting over some playing time, and wouldn't be surprised that if Stoll shows something that they even try to bring back next year to be like that third tight end on the roster. I still feel like the Dolphins need like a true wide tight end that's like can do it all, and I think the draft will be a big opportunity for that next season. But yeah, overall, think it's another just solid little underrated pickup that people might not expect too much from, that I think could see some decent playing time for them. Not think he's gonna be like a world beater or anything, but can be one of those guys that gets his job done and play with some consistency at tight end. So because they're doing it, like, comment and subscribe. Peace.